Well, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. It's a great pleasure, as I say, to be in Turkey. And I would like to thank the organization for organizing this World Tourism Forum, which I think is a great initiative because tourism needs support. I think that, as President Barroso was saying this morning, more and more member states and European countries get aware of the importance of tourism in terms of growth and, of course, in terms of job creation. I'll be very brief, trying to draw, I would say, the landscape, as I am the chief executive of the European Association, Trade Association, we could say Business Association of hotel, restaurants, cafes in Europe. I don't know if the presentations work, but if it does, fantastic. So maybe one word on the hospitality industry in the 21st century. I thought it was very interesting to have this headline that was proposed by the World Tourism Forum. The hospitality of the past, or from the past versus, or the one from today versus the past. And I think we will show, hopefully, that the hospitality industry has engaged a lot and has a lot to give in the future. So we are a European Trade Association based in Brussels because we are the lobby organization or the representative association of hotel, restaurants, cafes toward the EU institutions. Meaning that we are representing, I would say, the interest, it's been sometimes defensive, but of the sector before the European Commission, the European Parliament and the Member States. So we are fighting hard, and I will try to show how to try to promote and to help develop tourism from Europe. So, an association present in 29 countries, 43 national associations, so we have sometimes 2 or 3 per country. Of course, in Turkey, very well represented by TUHOP and TUHOP being a partner of this event today, and as I said, the voice of the hospitality industry. A key pillar of the EU economy, it's something I think very important that we sometimes forget, is that the hospitality industry is composed of 1.8 million of tourism businesses, with the particularity that 91% of those businesses are micro enterprises, meaning that they employ less than 10 employees. So it's a very fragmented industry, which of course needs support, because when you are mainly enterprises of less than 10 employees, any kind of new legislation would definitely impact, and not always impact positively for sure. The contributions are extremely important, nearly 500 billion euro of contribution, so nearly 44% of the GDP, and also very importantly 126 billion euro to government treasuries, meaning essentially VAT. Why am I talking to this? Because of course we see more and more the sharing economy expanding everywhere, and right now there is no contribution, at least to government treasuries. So that's why we are calling for a level playing field, meaning that we cannot have in Europe and in the world 2 economies, one being extremely regulated and the other one being not regulated at all. So, as said President Barroso, together with tourism, we are the 3rd socio-economic activity in Europe. So this is quite important. Key provider of jobs, also something which is extremely important for all national countries, and I know for Turkey. We provide to the EU economy 10.2 million jobs, and if we take the indirect and the induced impact, it's 16.6 million jobs. So it's nearly 10% of the European employment, plus I would say the other sector of tourism is 12%. So we employ more than 80% of the European tourism workforce. Number 2, of course, as you could see, and this was a EY Ernst & Young study, between 2000 and 2010, we have created altogether 2.5 million jobs in Europe, which is a lot. And what I think is the most significant is that the progression, looking at the overall economy, there was a potential creation of 7% during this period for the overall economy, but the hospitality industry had a progression of 29%. So it shows also that we are a very strong contributor in matters of jobs. 2 important points that I really insist on today. 20% of the jobs are held by young people. So we're a key driver for youth unemployment, and as of today we see its relevancy when looking at migrants and refugees. 1/3 of the jobs are held by unskilled people. And I remember when I took on my position, I was thinking that it was absolutely fantastic, and then we say, oh, we should maybe not. And it's, of course, a very important advantage, meaning that, for example, we have the case for chefs. You know that we're lacking chefs in Europe, it's at least in quite a lot of countries. And Sweden, for example, had developed, since 10 years ago, what they call a fast-track procedure, in order really to assess the capability of any migrant or refugee to become a chef. So that's where we are, so we are a key provider of jobs. The sector is constant evolution. That comes through the fact, is it a sector of the past or is it a sector of the future? Of course, I think the sector has been very much challenged, and it's of course very much challenged today by the sharing economy, but we have a lot to offer, meaning quality of service and also evolution in terms of offer. At least what we know is that it is a sector which increased in terms of tourist arrivals. The last data of 2015 by UNWTO is that the number of tourist arrivals have grown in Europe of 5%, while globally it's 4%. So even if we are losing a bit of market share, 1980 it was 60%, today, as said President Barroso, we are 51% of the total cake. 2030 it could be 40%. But still, I think that Europe shows its resistance and capability to grow. Second one is the increase in the supply of accommodation capacity, increase of bedrooms by 10% between 2008 and 2014, so we're building new hotels. And number 3, increase in the supply of restaurant establishments, more 12% between 2008 and 2014. So innovation certainly is also a key driver, whether it concerns sustainability, guest satisfaction, modularity of rooms, but I think that's something which is extremely important. Some key steps to foster development, and I try to be even shorter, just to explain what we are doing in Brussels, because a lot of people say, what are they doing in Brussels? So at least one big success is that we've been fighting for the reduction of bank credit card commissions. And this is now effective since the 9th of December 2015, since 2 months ago, which means that the commission before for credit card or debit cards was around 1.6, and now it is 0.3 for credit card, 0.2 for debit card, which means, again, this is a very positive result for SMEs and micro enterprises. The visa, well, you know the complexity about it. We are fighting for the visa package, which was proposed by Commissioner Tajani, and it is in discussion at the moment at the Council, of course, because of security, you know, the many problems that there are. But at least, if it is adopted, it's a potential of more than 6 million potential tourists, because we would get administrative procedure more flexible without impeding security. So it's also 130 billion more of expenses during 5 years. Try to be a bit quicker. I said that the hospitality industry has evolved. Of course, you all know that during the past century, we've seen new forms of accommodation, whether it was bed and breakfast, whether it's camping sites, whether all the kinds which have been developed. But it is clear that today this phenomenon has exploded. The same for restaurants, because of internet. And we have seen, in a way, thousands or hundreds of thousands of restaurants and hotels being, being created through, I would say, the sharing economy. And we have called it the shadow hospitality economy, because we know that there is a gray area at the moment. So this is something extremely important, and that we are providing some solutions. The rising issue of short-term private accommodation, right now, it's already, Airbnb is proposing 1 million rooms, when one of the biggest hotel chains only provides 700,000, so in less than 6 years. Impacts in Spain. One example, the sharing economy already represents 50% of total accommodation. But more importantly, looking at an hotel, you have to comply, if you are a 3-star in Spain, with 244 regulations, when a normal, I would say, house has to comply with 12. Let's finish with that. Nearly 50% of the properties proposed on Airbnb are not only one. In fact, an owner, 50% of the owner have more than one property. So it's not exactly like sharing one room. It's more, the question is to know whether it's a commercial activity or not. For restaurants, we see that more and more. It happens in Barcelona, in Paris, everywhere, where you see some people contacting companies and saying, come and have lunch, you know, next door for €5. So this is, of course, all the question of, do we want do we see some benefits in regulated economy for health, environment, safety issues, or do we need to deregulate completely? But it's clear that, once again, you cannot have hospitality businesses with hundreds of regulations to comply with, and the other economy which doesn't comply or provide any support. Again, quickly, we have tried and discussed a lot with the European Parliament, which is taking the problem very seriously, also some national countries, of course. And we have launched a chart with the UNWTO, with support of UNWTO Secretary General, explaining that we consider that to get to a responsible and sustainable sharing economy, we should have a kind of 10 steps, meaning registration of activity, minimum compliance for consumer protection with safety, security, because right now there is no verification of the ID cards, and of course comply with fiscal requirements, but also the quality of life in neighborhoods, the employees' rights, and of course having some statistics, because we don't have any statistics. So we're working hard on that. I'm not going to give much detail on the Parliament. Maybe just one detail saying that at the moment there has been a report on tourism, which was developed, completed by an Italian MEP, Isabella Del Monte, where she looked at all the solution, the support which could be brought to tourism, visa, but of course so many more, quality, and looking at the sharing economy, she clearly states that we cannot have two economies, and we have to look at what kind of solution should be taken at national level, at least for consumer safety, security, and fiscal requirements. Online distribution channel, I think that all of you knows well about Booking.com and the online platforms which are partner of the sector, and in particular for, I would say, regional hotels which have more difficulties with visibility. But in a way, what we have today, at least as a state of play, is 150,000 hotels, more or less, in Europe, versus 3 booking giants. And those 3 booking giants, in fact, are in control of 90% of the whole bookings. The result, we consider that this is an imbalance in the market power, and that we should not have similar prices and clauses as it is now for hoteliers to be there. What is the state of play? There was an agreement, at least in Sweden, Italy and France, taken by national competition authorities, so that hoteliers could give other prices than the one on Booking, but only by fax, which was very surprising. So that's why, you know, we say hoteliers are not the people from the 20th century. We are very much engaged in the 21st century. So we were not very happy. And what has happened, fortunately, but let's see, you know, what will be the next point, is that France, for example, Germany first, had said, we don't want any parity clauses. Hoteliers must be free to set their own prices. That was with HRS, which is one of the OTAs. Then we have taken the same decision for Booking on 23rd of December. In France, there is a law which has been voted in August. So now all hoteliers in France can give their own price. And in Italy, it has been also approved at the Parliament. So it's a little bit of confusion. So we know that the Commission is looking at it, because the objective of Booking.com was to roll out, at least to have the same conditions being, I would say, in the 28 European countries, meaning the same parity clauses. And now we have 2 examples where right now the market is very different. So our objective is to restore the complete entrepreneurial freedom of hoteliers, meaning that for each hotelier to decide on his own price, and of course in a good relationship with Booking, because I think it is part of the game. but at least to have the freedom to decide on what they want. What we have launched, at least it's an industry initiative, to say, well, dear consumers, dear customers, you know that still, although you have booking.com, which is very good, but still you have the opportunity to contact your own hotel. So we just launched it, this campaign. It's a very modest campaign because we are a European association, but we call it Book Direct, and then it is running now in 16 European countries. So the idea is that for the consumer I would say, to try to reconnect in a way the customer and the hotelier before, I would say, the fact of getting to an hotel. So I think that's a very good initiative. We'll see what are the results. And finally, to show that we are an industry of the future, very much committed also in sustainability. There are plenty of hotels all around Europe using renewable energies. Also, we are working on building capacity on energy management, and I think a lot of hotels establishments see the interest of doing so. And of course, the use of sustainable water. So there are plenty of I would say, examples and initiatives taken. And us, of course, as an industry association, we have joined the executive committee of UNWTO for the protection of children, and we have signed on the 5th of November the Code of Ethics, because we believe in responsible and sustainable tourism. We have signed the private sector commitment to the UNW Global Code of Ethics with Taleb Rifai, the Secretary General, at our last General Assembly. I hope I was short, clear enough, but thank you very much for your attention.
Not too short, but it is okay. But before you go, I have two questions. In Istanbul, we have only 6.5% of the people, they are going out. They are going to restaurants, cafes, etc. This number is in New York, 50%. I have no idea how many persons is in Russia. Through your experiences, how you can support local authorities to have programs, how the small locals can animate people to go more out. Istanbul is 50 million people. And can you imagine when this number is not 6.5, it's 20%. The economy for everybody is looking completely different. Do you have any words for these? So animation programs, etc., with your experiences, with your members. Second is we are in Brussels. Till now, Turkey is one of the countries. They are since 1960 associated member. Each 10 years, the status is changing, but we are still not a member. And we didn't get now anything from the European Union. And we are in Brussels. Do you have any idea how Brussels, the European Union, can support the education in hospitality? because Turkey is the sixth biggest incoming country worldwide. But the education in hospitality, in comparing with Europe or with US, is still behind. So, are there any education programs where we can say, okay, we are supporting one thing in terms of hospitality business, and that is the education? Or is this question too detailed?
No, I try to respond to the question. Number one, I think it's a cultural aspect. Whether you go out a lot, depending on the country, it is clear that times are changing. We see, for example, more and more interest for restaurants, any kind of restaurants, and creativity all around, and whether it's, so I believe that in this, it really depends on culture and the evolution, and we will have to measure maybe in the next 2 or 5 years, what has been changing on that. So to see if this cultural aspect of people going out at night, and 5 in Turkey, 10 in London, 15 in New York, or maybe 3 in Paris, what is really linked to? First of all, it should be, I would say, analyzed, and secondly, certainly it should change. But the government, I don't know exactly what they can do. I would say, well, decreasing taxes and levies and VAT, etc., will certainly also help people going more to restaurants. It's maybe a simplistic approach, but at least it's one of the points. For the second point regarding Turkey, I think what at least we try to provide very modestly is a platform for best practice sharing. I'm convinced, and I see now how the Commission is working. I'm not a great specialist, but at least I'm in Brussels for 15 years, and we have seen the European Commission evolving a lot. And more, they do not apply or impose any regulation. They are looking for already what exists in terms of best practice, and I think that they're trying their best to do what is possible. So for us and for Turkey to see what the other colleagues are doing, sharing economy, online distribution, quality of services, sustainability, being part of the of associations, I think it's extremely important. As I said, we have Turab and Turofed. We have so when we have meetings, we generally have more than 20 European countries. We're going to develop in the next weeks an online, I would say, best practice sharing platform, but we are doing a lot of workshops. The next one is on the sharing economy. There will be one on taxation in September. So I think even if it's also sharing communication campaign, for example, for VAT, there are some countries who have succeeded that the government, for example, number one, do not increase VAT, because when they are elected up, they think about increasing VAT, but also more proactively and positively to say, dear government, dear minister, dear colleagues, we have a VAT level of 20. We have now an impact assessment which shows and demonstrates that in the neighborhood countries, if you reduce it by 5 or 10%, then you can create 200,000 jobs and augment your GDP. So we are going to enter, I don't know what will be the result, but we're going to start in the weeks ahead also a kind of, very modestly, a study of the impact of VAT, taxes and levies on competitiveness, on tourism. And the idea will be to feed, I would say, the debate, to fuel the debate, I don't know like very much as well, at national level, to provide the good arguments for hospitality businesses to develop.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.